State, Colorado, in previous months. We need to launch a big torpedo here with the headline, Maryland Staged Terror. That's even more important than searching prison cities. Maryland Staged Terror. Let's make it #1. So all the people searching will see the blurb article Watson and Steve Watson. Both Watsons are doing. Aaron Dykes is here. I want him on it at Infowars.com. We're going right back to our guest here in a moment to get his take on this. Salon Magazine, lawyer, FBI entrapped Baltimore bomb plot suspect. This was December 13th, just a month ago. Less than a month. No way Antonio Martinez could have assembled the phony bomb intended to blow up the recruitment center, defense says. Same thing came out. The government isn't infiltrating groups. They advertise, they promote. And it's always American idiots who convert and then get radicalized. Just like Texas Monthly in '98 gave a bum steer award to the FBI for creating a Klan group, trying to get them to blow up a chemical plant for 2 years. The FBI cooked the bomb, trained the driver, told him to go ahead with the attack. An insider blew the whistle. 1993 World Trade Center first attack. Anwar al-Awlaki, top of al-Qaeda below bin Laden, secretly under Pentagon control, Fox News, running the underwear bombing, the shoe bomber, the Fort Hood shooter, the Times Square. They go out and find, out of 1 billion Muslims, fruitcake crackpots. I mean, this is, folks, I can't tell you how many times I've had cops in plain clothes come to events I'm at and say, let's blow stuff up, Alex. And I just start calling the police on them. And they go, I'm an officer, and run off. I mean, look, that's what they do, okay? I want to go back to Alan Watt on this, but the search term, Maryland Staged Terror. And all the rest of you out there, write your own articles on it. We've got the history of this. Man arrested, Maryland terror bomb plot. So, this Martinez person. I tell you, Alan Watt, this is so obvious what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to, if you're setting up a world of totalitarianism and tyranny, you've got to justify the reasons for it. So if nothing's happening, you make it happen. And this is a very old technique, of course. They've even put it in comedy shows like Brazil, where bombs go off every so often in restaurants. They never catch a terrorist, but everyone believes the propaganda. Oh, it's the terrorists that are doing it. So we need all of these checkpoints and pat-downs and so on. This is a simple technique, and it works very well. Most of the public, listen to nothing but mainstream news. And that's what they believe. They believe it's all for their own good and so on. And they've already lost their ability to stand up for anything, most of them, because the first attack was on men itself and the family unit. And men traditionally, and the British government did studies on this as they went into different countries to conquer them. It was always the men who stood up for their culture, their way of life, their family, their wife, and so on. You take all of that away from them, you destroy the culture, you take away the wife, and there's nothing to stand up for. In fact, he becomes rather like a lazy dog who just sits and watches all the porno movies that are coming out, goes to parties and picks up the odd female who's awfully available and these days. And that's what you have.
And it's all empty. It's all empty. There isn't that tribal fulfillment of taking care of your family and the men and women being on a team. It's a bunch of unhappy people mad that life is hell, so they break up because they haven't submitted to each other.
That's correct. It takes commitment, you see, for everything that you do. Even to fight this, it takes commitment. And you must only start with yourself. And we've all been contaminated with this system, and that's what it's called. Your indoctrination and your lifestyle is called contamination. And the Soviets called it that, too, since they helped introduce a lot of it. And
we've got their manuals where they describe everything that's been done here.
Yes, and you have to decontaminate yourself, starting with yourself. And it doesn't matter what the rest go and do, and they want you to go along with them. You say, no, I'm not doing that. And if they ask you why, you tell them that things are going to get awfully bad unless we discipline ourselves. We're doomed.
And what do the FBI training manuals say? The white male who's nice and friendly, who's professional, who exercises a lot, who wants to be involved in the community. That's a Texas Homeland Security manual. That's the enemy. That clean-cut, pure person is an enemy.
Mm-hmm. You see, what's been left for the rest of the public with the dysfunctional relationships and casual relationships is that they have no purpose. And to fill up their gap for no purpose, they've got so much cheap entertainment just thrown at them, and enough cash in their pockets to go party at weekends. And that's what they think living is all about now. They have no bonding to any community or any family. And
exactly, whether you're African or Japanese or an American, if you're a pure woman or a pure man or trying to be pure, they know you're going to see all of this. And so that's why you're the enemy.
Yeah. And so therefore, as I say, you've got to start with yourself and change yourself and decontaminate yourself, even the things that you might be addicted to. I've had young people write to me who know what's going on, and they'll tell me that they still like certain parts of it. They like the partying, they like the multi-casual affairs that they have, sexual affairs, and they don't realize that that's all part of the destructiveness. You can't have it both ways, because when you look at all from the primitive tribes to our own tribes that lived up into the 1800s, they all lived in the same structure, same family structure, and you can't go around just willy-nilly with promiscuity and all the rest of it. That destroys everything, and that's why it was the main weapon to be promoted during the 60s, 70s, and 80s to the present time. You can't have it both ways. You've got to change yourself in order to change the world.
And they train the so-called middle class to be in love with their servitude. As Bertrand Russell said they would, when you try to warn them, they have a defense mechanism to get a little creamy-eyed look, in their eyes and giggle at you. And then they'll even accept it and say, yeah, I like it. They think by doing that Crime Stop mind trick, it gives them power over it. And the average male out there is an Arrested Development 6-year-old.
Yeah, definitely. And even politicians in the U.S., I read an article pretty recently, too, where one of your congressmen said that we must train the public by using the language of the media, which is meant for the 5th grade. That's what they're using on the public and have been for a lawful long time. But you're quite right, too. A lot of it's aimed at the male. As I say today, it's a shopping mall for sex. That's what all it is. It's like candy.
And notice they don't let males act like warrior males in any context, and they put chemicals in the water to reduce testosterone. But then in one area, if you want to be a cop or a soldier, then you're allowed to act that out, but against your own people.
That's absolutely true. In other words, winners and losers. And youngsters who grow up with video games, too, in dysfunctional families or no family at all, that's all they see things in black and white, winners and losers, and they want to be on the winning team. Some have told me that, by the way, and they want to get into the black outfits and have the big machine gun and order people about because they know they're going to get more privileges than those who are under the gun. Yeah.
And they've gone from denying that police are being put on steroids to major city police chiefs, even here in Texas, basically ordering everyone to inject testosterone.
Yeah, that's correct. And they've been doing this really for years, anyway, long beforehand. And they put on the beef, of course, and you can tell, too, it's more than just an effect on your muscle, etc. They become sluggish in their brain. They become more primitive. And there's no doubt about that either. They become monsters, in fact. They love to beat people up and go to excess. And mind you, too, for years they've been recruiting the lower IQ types for the police force. And
I've been listening to Howard Stern lately, just randomly in my car on XM, and every time I tune in, he's glorifying police beating innocent people and how good it is. And then I hear it on other shows that are for the lowest common denominator. They're teaching us that all of this evil is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And once again, the public have been so desensitized to horror. What should offend them as being horrific. It's not. It actually get off on it, just like a movie. They can't tell the difference between fiction and, in fact, it's better alive. That's what some of them say.
Yeah, they're blurring the two, and it's also real popular on the internet for girls to abuse cats and dogs and ferrets, and they get off on it. But then the minute they're being abused, they can't believe it and cry for mommy.
Yes. Or say to the government, there should be a law about that. And that's exactly what government wants. They love to put more laws on you. But
yeah, they promote that we don't govern ourselves, so they will govern us.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's true. If you don't govern yourself, then someone else is going to do it for you. And it's the same with your mind. If you don't take care, because you're the gatekeeper of what comes into your mind and affects you, then somebody else will, and they've been doing that for an awful long time.
And now they have the Kinetic game that's come out. And I heard the neighborhood kid telling my son about it yesterday, about how great it is that it face scans him and knows his voice and follows all his movements. And Microsoft admits that it's listening to your whole house with it. It's hooked into the internet. And now they're erasing the Jesse Ventura TV show off of the TiVos and Uverses. We've confirmed that. Why would they let Ventura's show come out and then decide to start pulling episodes and banning the re-airing of certain episodes? Well, I know the inside scoop. They allowed it thinking that it would just be a conditioning mechanism. But for some reason, they decided it was having too big of a trigger, and they banned the police state episode. What do you think's going on behind that?
You're probably quite right. It probably was meant to be a predictive programming overawing show. And folks say, well, gee, what can you do about it? It's going to come. But the more folk talk about it, you see, and find ways to propagate the information to each other and find ways around it to combat it, or they get a big backlash about it, then they find it's had the opposite effect than what they intended.
But that shows an enemy miscalculation. And again, not that Ventura's bad or I was bad. I mean, we really put real shows on air. And it was funny, though. The network would come in to say the episode on bioweapons labs, BioShield, and it was a really serious episode. But the network execs above Even True TV said, put a Montauk monster in there. Put a dead animal that washed up to try to discredit it. Yeah, but they were unable to get it all done. So now they're just like, no, stop, no, don't air it, no.
Yeah, and I've had the same offers, too, to go on to some really big shows. I turned them all down because they want me to bring in the aliens and this and that and the other. And what that does, you then act for counterintelligence. Counterintelligence takes the factual data, they mix it with the farcical, and then people parrot that and sound like lunatics.
Yeah, same here. I've turned down just the last year